Black Phone 2. How do you make a sequel to a movie that really was stand-alone? You turn the Grabber into a Freddy Krueger-like character. And it works. But what also Black Phone has going for it is we get some backstory on the Grabber, on Ethan Hawke's character. And it just makes him even worse of a human being. As the trailer suggests, there are some murders at a youth camp up in the mountains, and the Grabber may or may not have been responsible. As we find out throughout, as the movie keeps going and going, as the story progresses, and it kind of gets into, we got to find these boys, their bodies, unfortunately, because it's what happened in the 50s, so they're very much dead. So, we got to find them, we got to lay them to rest, we got to find peace. And while Mason Thames's Finney is still very much a part of it, he's still very much a big part of this movie, he is not the focal point. It is 100% Madeline McGraw's Gwen. Her character and her dreams, her powers of sorts, are expanded upon. She's the one that is having the dreams about these camps. She's the one that drags Finney and another kid to this camp to investigate. And it's what brings everything to light. It brings the story full circle. It takes the story from the first movie and expands it. And it brings it full circle. And it's just done so well. And that is because of Gwen. And like I said, she's more the focal point than Finney is this time around. And Madeline McGraw puts in a just solid ass performance. And that goes for Mason Thames and Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke is creepier this time around. Like, he went from kind of like, obviously a serial killer, but the way he acted was like kind of innocent, but like psychotic. Here, it's just psychotic. It's just creepy, and it like gets under your skin. And it's like, I want to see Ethan Hawke more in a villainous role. And where the original Black Phone was just pure psychological horror, Black Phone 2 takes that and flips it on its head. It is still very much psychological horror, and it expands on that psychological horror aspect, but it dabbles into the slasher genre as well, where there really wasn't any blood in the first film. There is a whole lot of it in the sequel. Now, I'm not talking like Evil Dead level blood or anything like that, but compared to the first movie, it's a lot of blood. But it works. Dabbling into the slasher genre works this time around. It fits in very well with the psychological horror aspect of the first film, and it continues that into the second film. And, sometimes horror movies, they change genres, sequel to sequel. They go from pure slasher to horror comedy, back to slasher, back to psychological, and they change it up consistently. And sometimes they do not work. It does not work at all. Megan 2.0 is a perfect example of that. Horror movie, and then the sequel, action movie. So it's like, okay. Like, sometimes changing genres just do not work. Here in Black Phone 2, it works, but that's also partially because it stays true to its psychological horror roots, while also it doesn't go full slasher, it just dabbles in it. But the mix of it works so well. So Black Phone 2, I went into this excited for the movie because I loved the first film, but at the same time a little worried because the first film was so good that how do you continue it? How do you continue a story that was very clearly standalone? They figured it out. They worked it out. They made it work. I give Black Phone 2 a solid A. Thanks for watching this episode of Fatman Inc Horror. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and to see more horror reviews as Fatman Inc Horror begins to take shape. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.